Hello there, are you sick of these? Filling up 5 out of 6 slots of your games? Do you know the spawn room so well that you could recite the exact color and location of every piece of furniture with your hands tied behind your eyes closed? Well, I've got a solution for you. It's a 2-step program. Number 1, have you tried just not playing the game? Yes, that's right. By just not playing the game, you can avoid all the frustration that comes with it. Simply don't play the game, and everything is okay. But if that's not for you, there is always step 2. Have a nice little rational talk about it, and see if we can all come up with a cool solution to keep enjoying the game we all love, which seems to be the more sensible decision in any given situation. It amazes me how many people's solution is, well, just don't play then. That's so reductive. I mean, when I talked about the arena maps, there was a couple comments that was, well, just don't play arena then. Seriously? Like, I ordered a pizza and it came wrong and I didn't like what was on it. Well, just never eat pizza again and you won't have that problem. Oh, okay. Thanks, Billy. Either way, today we're going to talk about the heroes that I think we somewhat don't always appreciate, and that's the support players, because there have been an unreasonably high amount of them, let's say unhappy with Season 6 so far, because really, it does kind of suck to be a support at the moment, and it's for a multitude of reasons. So let's talk incentive then, and I think, well, the crux is there's no incentive to play support. With the fact that the MMR system does take your personal performance into account when you gain and lose SR rating, why would you play not a DPS? Why would you not just pick one, get really good on it, only choose them no matter what your team is, and try and lone wolf yourself to victory? And if your team helps, great. If not, I still did well, so even if we lost, I don't lose that much. That's fine. I mean, in a brutally cold perspective of I'm in this for SR, it makes no sense to do anything other than one-trick a DPS character. Because even the line of thinking, I'm gonna play a support and I'm gonna get so good that I'll make my team immortal and basically have everyone on my broad, muscly shoulders as I carry them across the finish line, because it doesn't work like that. And the reason for it is a team with good DPS and bad supports will beat a team with bad DPS and good supports. That's just how it is, and it's, well, I mean, you could definitely say sad that that's the way it is, so it's no wonder that you get supports and even tank players that are going, fuck it. I am going to play DPS because either I've not all this time because I'm trying to be flexible and accommodating, but no more, I've reached my limit, I'm gonna play DPS because I think I can actually win more doing that, because clearly me being, you know, a helpful member of this team is not working. But then you get the big one, which is I'm done playing support, I'm gonna play a DPS so I can have fun. That's what really gets me when people have been saying that, because I've been talking to lots of Masters players. I like to think I've done my research on this topic, and that's the one that makes me feel the worst, and that is one that's much, much harder to address. The fact that there is this preconceived notion that supports, and more recently tanks, ever since they've kind of neutered them. I mean, really, the only tanks being played at the moment are Zarya and D.Va, and I'm convinced people are just playing D.Va to try out the, well, new D.Va. I mean, she certainly does have a use. Yes, you're seeing a splattering of Reinhardt, but he is by no means as omnipresent as he was in his heyday. We really are generally, the average lineup at the moment is 3-4 DPS, a Winston, and a support sitting there going, and that, is generated by, in a meta like that, which was very much last season's, but it's still persevering into this one, is for the support player in that situation, you are just getting jumped on by the enemy Tracer, the enemy Genji, the enemy Winston, and you are being deleted and you're walking back from spawn, because in a game of Overwatch, it's easily as, if not more effective, to just go for the enemy's support and kill them than it is to defend your own support and keep them alive. There is no no decision to be made. There really isn't. You gain just as much by just rushing the enemy backline and melting them and ignoring what happens to yours and going, well, if we kill theirs faster, it doesn't matter what happens to ours, we've won the fight. You know, it feels like Teamfights are a DPS race, which is really nice to see. Junkrat rise in popularity, giving Orisa a rise in popularity, because them together, the shield and the explosion spam with Junkrat's buff, it's actually a lot of fun to play when you're working with that. It's giving Zarya a little bit of a bump because of this, Teamfights are lasting a bit longer. She can get more charge, and obviously she loves that. Anna is seeing a fair amount. Mercy, surprisingly, is way up there. I mean, maybe not surprisingly, because she just got changed, and it does make her really powerful. It definitely makes her a lot more enjoyable because you can get a lot of kills with your ultimate, and that's no real coincidence. Out of the top 13 heroes with the highest win rate, 2 of them are supports, and they're Mercy and Zenyatta, the ones with the highest kill potential. I mean, really, I think we've found a little bit of a theme here. Honestly, I think Blizzard might have identified this too, and that's why they're giving things like D.Va and Mercy that higher kill potential, because well, that actually loops us round to why it's conceived as more fun. Those kills, those juicy kills, and it's very much a psychological thing. You'll find that the higher up the rating you get, the more people you find that enjoy support. And yes, a lot of you watching this will be going, I don't get what you're saying, I love playing support. And yeah, I mean, I like playing support too, but on average, the higher up you go, the more people actually like playing support because they're more aware of how they're actually contributing. But that's the thing, when you're playing a supportive role, you have to kind of reward yourself almost. You have to know, you have to think, cool, I just did that, so that means that can happen. Yeah, I'm a badass. But really, the game doesn't care and the other people don't care. I mean, Overwatch isn't bad for it. Like, being able to see how much healing you've done, for example, is at least something to be like, yeah, I did a load on a support. But outside of huge impact Lucio ults, Zenyatta ults that everyone's aware of, it's very easy to blend in the background, even to yourself as a support. You have to mainly give yourself that satisfaction. Whereas when you're playing a assault hero or someone who's there getting kills, you have that positive feedback loop. I do thing, enemy player die, I get kill pop up, I have helped team because I made enemy player die. Oh, brain reward me with some sweet chemicals because I did good. You don't really get that as a support unless you are really intimate with how you are actually helping the team. And that, I think, is a huge deal. I do wonder how much of a difference it made if someone who gets a kill within a certain time frame of you doing a support action for them, they got a kill, you actually got the skull ching pop up on your screen and you got elimination credit. Like, not a assist or anything like that, but straight up actual, you really helped here, good job, have an elimination. Would that really change anything? Does it fucking matter how much it says you have eliminations at the end of a game that you won? No, it doesn't. You won the game. Medals are really silly. But psychologically, I think that would really help. In fact, very early on in Overwatch, if I recall correctly, that was the case. You would be holding your beam on someone as Mercy and seeing constant eliminations pop up that you were technically part of because you were healing. And it did feel really good. I can't recall why that got changed, actually. God, that's long ago. I've just reminded myself talking about that. But I think that would help a lot. Also, if we circle back to the SR gain and loss being a lot more forgiving if you are playing an assault hero, imagine how Overwatch would play if every time you won, you say gained 50, and every time you lost, you say lost 50. There would be a hidden MMR to match you against and with people of your rough skill level, but in terms of your visible one, that's how it is. I think that would be really interesting. I don't think it's necessarily better. In fact, I don't think it's better because it would create a lot more toxicity because suddenly your team performing is really important because that is exactly what decides if you get to gain rating this game. But it would definitely, I think, even if it's forced, result in more teamwork because suddenly the team coming together and winning is the real important thing. And obviously I say that like it's not now. Of course it is now. But in your head, knowing that if we lose, I lose 50, well, suddenly you are going to try your best to make it so that we don't lose, right? It's all about how you encourage players to behave in games like this. It really is. You could even go quite extreme with it, because Overwatch is supposed to be a game where you switch heroes, you are comfortable with many roles, and that's what you need for success. Like in a MOBA where you can't just really play one hero, you have to be able to play a few. You're supposed to have that going in Overwatch. It's not like a shooter where you choose your favorite loadout and you just go, go, go. You're really supposed to have this flexibility. It's what the game's built on. It's one of its USPs, for Christ's sake. So what in a really extreme situation, imagine if when you won a game and you predominantly played an assault that game, you gain rating on your assault capabilities. And then let's say you played a support predominantly. I mean, you gain support rating based on how well you did there. There'd be a lot of stuff going behind the scenes. So let's say you played Mercy 8% of the time, Soldier for the other 20%. You'd gain a bit of assault rating, but a much larger amount of support rating. And your total SR was a combination of your assault, defense, tank, and support rating. So you almost have to swap around and play other roles if you want a large total rating. Obviously, this is retarded as a concept, but imagine it in theory. An actual system that intrinsically encourages you go, yeah, no, buddy, you take the Soldier, I want to play Reinhardt, I want to get my tank rating up a little bit, that is totally fine, let's work on this, instead of, we all want to pick Assault. I think that could be cool. And let's say you put a cap of one of the four can't be X amount higher than the other three, so you can't just keep playing Assault, having 5k assault rating and 0 in the other 3. I obviously, this is inherently a silly idea, but this is the kind of thing that needs to happen. There has to be systems in place that make playing the I do the kills roles a lot more engaging on both a gameplay and psychological level for the player. And I do ultimately think the meta itself is one of the biggest factors here, because dive meta is the worst one to be in a support, because, as I said, it's just fine to dive on the enemy support, and as long as you kill them before your support's killed, you're fine. It feels like teamfights are just DPS races with no real finesse outside of the really top end of things, and that kind of sucks when you're a support because you spent most of your time running back from spawn, and games where you're dead half the time for reasons that you really can't avoid, and it just feels like fuck you for playing this role. It feels awful. It really sucks, and I think intrinsically that comes down to you just feel too pathetically defenseless when you're playing a support, right? Like, what are you supposed to do when Donkey Kong, Time Wizard, and Naruto jump on your face? You just get melted, and you don't really feel like you have a solution for that. Even on a one-on-one basis, Tracer blinks up next to you, you have 3 options. Hope that their aim is so awful that you can somehow kill them first. Hope that your teammates, good luck with this one, care, notice, turn around and help you, and they're not because they're too busy trying to kill the enemy supports and making them go through what you're going through, so at least you feel for them. Or third, try and live long enough for one of the first 2 things to happen. And outside of Lucio booping and Anna sleep, which is still a really long cooldown, difficult to hit skill shot on fast, jumpy, flanky characters, by the way, so yeah, that's fun. You have to just kind of hope and pray for salvation. It doesn't feel like if you are especially skillful or masterful, you can get out of that situation yourself, and that's obviously a really sucky feeling. Yes, a lot of you are going to tell me, yeah, Tracer jumps on me, I whip out my pistol as Mercy, and I pop her real good, son. Probably not in that horrifically white way, but obviously that happens. But in a world where the Tracer is equally as good as you, she's going to just melt you. She is. That's like, they are designed to beat you one-on-one, which is still fair enough, right? The flankers that are designed to hunt supports should be able to hunt supports, but at the same time, you shouldn't feel so just like, Tracer's here, my team's not going to help, I'm dead, this is pointless, like, I just, that's it, you know? You need to have that hope going on. Like, they should have to work to kill you. Because that's the thing, Lucio with his boop does have that. Winston jumps on you, you boop him back, you speed up, you jump on a wall, and you're like, whoop, 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 fuck you. you try and go off into the distance, and that's really cool. Yes, on Mercy you can shift to other people, but again, that relies on them noticing that you've done that, but the others are just completely pulp. They are free kills, and it just sucks to feel like that. I think a long way to making supports more rewarding would be to give them all a little bit of a defensive boost, just a tool, a bit of utility, not necessarily to kill the attacker or prevent the attack, but to live longer, to open a skillful option of saving yourself or lasting long enough to be saved. I think that would be a really neat little addition. So let me know what you guys are thinking about all this. Let me know how your supporting is going, how are your games going. It's really cool to see Roadhog coming back a little bit. He's just great at always being there, and actually he's great at putting his body between the enemy and your support, so that's really nice. I mean, he's still not amazing, but he's fine. We are actually having quite a varied meta at the moment. There's about 3 different team comps that we're seeing all the time. It's not just dive, so it should get better for supports, but I think this is just a general talk that needed to happen, and how to make a role that is generally seen as undervalued a little bit more, well, heroized. And the thing is, Overwatch is exceptionally good at this. In most other games, being a support is even worse. Overwatch has really got good supports in terms of you feeling good about it, so it really just is an inherent problem with the supporting role in gaming as a whole, but I think it's something that can really be turned up in Overwatch because it already has such a good basis for actual compelling support, and by extension, a lot of what I've said can be applied to pure I'm here to tank tanks, but you know what I'm saying. So yeah, let me know. Like if you enjoyed this, subscribe for more. Hopefully I'm not completely talking just utter shite here, and I'll see you next time. Goodbye. You've been watching